Ritualizing our grief is a major, major part of our healing process. For a lot of us, we don't always think of our lives as a set of rituals, intentional things that we do every single day that is meant to produce an outcome. We wake up, we brush our teeth because we don't want our breath to stink. Right? We dress in a particular way before going to work because we want to be received and seen in a particular light. We say good morning, give a kiss goodnight, we make a meal, we say a prayer, we go to work, we put on our podcasts, all these different things that we do every single day are rituals, things that we practice regularly because we believe that it will produce something in us that we believe will be to our benefit. I would posit to each of us that our grief is something that also needs to be ritualized. When grief takes place in our life, it is the byproduct of a change that has taken place. Something has happened that has impacted us tremendously to the point where our bodies, our mind, our spirit, our energy, our heart is reacting to it. And it is evoking a recognition of that experience as a means of moving through it. The requirement primarily requires that I accept first and foremost what has taken place. Not only that I accept it, but that I begin to make space for it within my life. Years ago, I had a really bad accident, and it left me disabled for the most part. And it took me years to accept what had taken place. I had gone through multiple surgeries. I was in a wheelchair for a while, and yet the whole time I kept saying, I'm okay, with the expectation that one day I was going to overcome this experience by no longer having to deal with it, that it was no longer going to affect me or impact my life. And I worked towards that for the longest. There came a certain point in time where I had to accept that this wasn't meant to just go away. Just because it didn't feel good didn't mean that it was supposed to go away. And when I began to be able to shift my focus and mentality from trying to get rid of the experience, trying to move on from the experience, to embracing it, it allowed me to then embrace and accept what it was meant to teach me in my life. It was meant to bring me into connection with my body and recognition how I have needed to care for it further, opportunities to deepen that care and that practice. It also required that I changed my lifestyle. It required that I shifted my focus. The different activities that I once used to be able to do, I had to accept that they may not serve me in the same way anymore, and that I had an opportunity to try to learn new ones. It brought me into new community, new environments, greater learning about myself. You see, when things take place in our lives that impact us deeply, it's in the embracing of it and the ritualizing, coming back to it, revisiting it, reminding ourselves what we've been through so that we can make sure that we have been consistent and continue to be consistent within our practice that enables us to be able to shape the change of that impact. You see, the grieving process is the reminding that brings us into the practice, that brings us into connection with ourselves, that brings us into connection with one another and the world around us. For many of us, we have also denied ourselves grief. For many of us, we have rejected it and pushed it away. And as a result, it has put us in a position where we're no longer shaping how it's changing our lives. We don't recognize how our grief is impacting our relationships or our ability to sustain them. We don't recognize how it affects our decisions and how we choose either relationship or careers or engage with opportunities, and how we see potential life challenges as they come along afterward. You see, for a lot of us, our grief is still running our lives. Our grief is still directing all of our decisions. And it's not happening consciously, but reactively. We're still trying to avoid it and run away from it. And as a means, we run away from life. We run away from relationship. We run away from opportunities. Or we run towards the opposite. We're trying to prove something that happened in the past wrong from what we believed it said about us. If we believe that a past harm or grief meant that I was worthless, now I'm looking to prove myself constantly. If I believe that I would never be wanted, now I'm constantly grasping for relationship. But the thing is, I'm not necessarily reaching for what is applicable to who I am today. I'm reaching for what will make me feel safe from what happened in the past. And that is the power that grief can have over our lives if we're not intentional about embracing it. If we're not intentional about bringing it into our lives so we can create a practice around bringing healing, a deepened sense of connection, and an opportunity for growth for ourselves and our community. You see, we can't necessarily change our past. We can't change what happened, but we can shape how we respond to it in our lives. Now, I've said this over and over, but I'll say it again. This process of turning and facing your grief and the harms that have happened in your life is not an easy one. I many times consider it an act of bravery. It takes a lot of strength, a lot of resolve, a lot of faith, a lot of hope to turn and face those demons, to turn and face those lions and those monsters and those things that terrified us as children, as adolescents, and young adults, and turn and face it and be willing to look at it in the eyes and begin to attempt to understand it, to begin to attempt to learn and to grow and to mature and to ask for support, ask for care, to seek the community, connection, the rest, the healing that is necessary so that our lives can be shaped from it for the better. Now, many times the first step is acknowledgement, is acknowledgement. But the next step, many times, is also beginning to ritualize what it means for us to seek healing. It doesn't have to be something done all at once, but each step that we take is significant. It doesn't matter if it's a journal entry, a walk outside, lighting a candle, saying a prayer, making a phone call, taking a bath. All these things are steps that we take to begin to acknowledge ourselves in our lives and what it means for us to find connection and healing within our experience. Now, if you struggle with this process today, there will be a link in the description box for you to potentially get some support and help. Um, if that is something you're looking for, please do feel free to reach out. One small step today could mean a world of change for your life, for tomorrow, and those you love around you. I hope that you're having a wonderful day, and I look forward to doing more of these videos. Please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. We can continue the conversation there. Have a wonderful day, and I hope the best for you throughout your healing journey. You take care.